Typically when, those red lights are on, it means we're recording. So just wait till the music starts, big fella.
Yeah. Just jump the gun a little bit early.
Unlike
a particular trainer's horses, they don't jump the gun early.
No.
They go straight to the back.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Chris Waller?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's up to his usual tricks with a few dual noms.
That's the name of this episode, Dual Acceptors.
Is it?
Ugh.
It's a bit gross, isn't it?
Sucks. I know. He's been pretty vocal. He's more vocal than he usually is because Espiona is such a key runner this weekend.
She is. And she's now going to go to the Cantebury Stakes.
Has it been confirmed?
It's been confirmed.
Interesting.
Which I think is bizarre because I reckon she was a red hot chance in the Newmarket Handicap.
She was my on top selection.
She's not anymore, mate.
I guess
because she's not going there.
I guess I'll just wipe my ass with those teams.
You can't get her on. You can't have her on top when she's not there, mate. That's not how this game works.
I'm looking at my screen right now. Espiona, number 4, barrier 8, weak gutted dog, Jai McNeil in the saddle.
That's probably why. That's probably why she's racing in Sydney.
Well, Nick Scala was straight in the DMs, like, oh, gee, that's a nice draw. But weak gutted dog, Jai McNeil's on. Actually, quote word for word. And I think it's more so because Mickey D did win the Rupert Clark on Magic Time, I'm imagining. But that's
exactly why, yeah.
But he did ride Espiona last start, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Because the latest update I saw was if Chris had his own way, she'd be going to Sydney. But he was going to engage the form analysts to make the ultimate decision.
Fascinating. It's fascinating. Based on that first up run of the Lightning, 1,000 metres, weight for age, down the Flemington Straight, which she clearly performs really well down, gets a bit of weight relief off Imperatriz, draws a gate, dry deck.
Dry deck? It's going to be 50 degrees down in Melbourne. Shit, that would be in her wheelhouse.
The floor is lava in Melbourne.
The floor is lava.
The floor is lava.
And after we saw what happened at Randwick last weekend when they spat on the track and it was shifty and sticky,
there's thunderstorms forecast in Sydney towards the end of this week.
Who knows? It's 29 degrees on the day there. I reckon it'll go the other way. I reckon it'll be almost like that King Charles meeting. Remember that?
I do remember that.
It was concrete. I reckon that might happen. Overreaction.
Potentially.
I feel like the horse racing industry doesn't overreact from time to time, does it?
Never. Never. So that's the plan with SP. There you go.
Well, fuck. Okay. I reckon
you got a bit of time to recalibrate and regroup.
Yeah. Before we do that, and because there's a ton of races to go through this weekend, I gave you the brief of how do we fix the All-Star Mile, because at the moment, mate, I don't even know who's running, and frankly, I don't really care. I've had a lot of interest in previous years when the voting's been around, a bit more marketing about it. It's like, oh yeah, give the Battler a go. Mate, this time, bloody Godolphin are going no, mate, we'll take our horses elsewhere. Pericles got given a wild card, and he said, see you later. The wild card system has not worked.
No, not at all. 5 letters, 1 word. DROSS. Dross. That's what the All-Star Mile is. And I've been thinking long and hard about how to fix it, mate. And, the solution I came up with is to completely scrap it. It's just dross, mate. It's not an All-Star Mile because people can't vote in it.
Yeah.
Which is the entire premise of All-Stars, right? Look, it doesn't help the fact that our, weight for age mile stocks are pretty low at the moment. So that doesn't help the race. But there's a whole bunch of other factors that don't help it either. The fact that it's competing with a Sydney Autumn Carnival, which is by far and away stronger than a Melbourne Carnival. That doesn't help. But, I'd be fascinated to know what your thoughts are on how to fix it.
You know what I think? Melbourne's highlight, right? Melbourne Cup. easily.
Yeah.
It's talked about all year, similar to the Everest. Everest probably has a bit more airtime leading up, but come springtime, I think they're level heading. Different type of animal, but what I love about the Melbourne Cup is you have to prepare for it so far out. And what the All-Star Mile has really, really failed at this year is offering it up to these benchmark 78 horses that are going through their grades. They're very progressive, but Kieran Mart has twice now turned down for Jimmy Starr because he's like, this horse is going through his grades, he's not ready yet. And then another will. So they tried to get one in, they've turned it down. Another will, the writing was on the wall that they were going to do that again. Another will, and I sent this through to you the other day, he's third in line in betting for the Doncaster at some bookies, not with our good people at Ned's.
No.
He's still short with them, but he's 170th in entry. Reason being is he's a benchmark 78 horse at this stage. And he's very progressive. He will be a Group 1. He'll be running Group 1s before we know it.
Yep.
But what the Melbourne Cup does is they have like a bit of a ballot clause. So you have to actually tick all these different boxes to be eligible to run into the race. That's what the All-Star Mile is currently lacking.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like, you had to have a minimum benchmark to get into the race. The first days, it was like Urban Ruler was going around at probably 300 or 400 to 1. Absolutely no chance. But I reckon what they could do is just like, instead of going to these benchmark 78 horses, have it like the Melbourne Cup, right? So basically, since the year prior, so say since the beginning of 2023, they would have had to have won, placed second or third in an internationally recognised group or graded flat race from 1,200 metres to 1,600 metres. Yep. That's how I would kind of like get then you have a really clear
pool
of horses that you can pick from. And then the other thing to do it is none of these Sydney horses are coming down. Let's throw a bonus at them. Because if you do get a fangirl around, who cares if she's from Sydney? The promotion of her coming to that race, it would elevate it immediately. It'd be twice a better race if she was coming to that race this year.
Yeah, it would. 100%. Yeah, two good points because and I expressed my frustration a few weeks ago on the podcast around Jimmy Starr getting a call up to the All-Star Mile and being offered a wild card purely for that reason. He's a horse going through his grades. Let him.
Yeah.
Same with another will. Let him. Our mile handicap races exist for that very reason because it's an excellent gateway for a horse that's going through its grades to beat the handicapper, potentially get a Group 1 or run really well in a Group 1, probably before its time. But then so many of them who do that go on to establish themselves as genuine weight for age horses, which is what we're lacking so much in this country when it's getting to that sort of mile plus, right?
Yep.
Let them.
Yep.
And Melbourne racing is Victorian racing, whoever runs the All-Star Mile, whatever. Like they're handicapping themselves by doing that. And trainers like Kieran Maher, he's not an idiot, mate.
No.
He's not an idiot, but he's also patient.
Yes.
And the All-Star Mile to me reeks of impatience.
Yes.
So how would I fix it? To be honest, I've got no idea at all how to fix it.
You said years ago that these concepts out the door.
Yeah, it is. But if they were going to get more interest, make it like a set weights and penalties.
Yep.
So, someone like Mr. Brightside doesn't have a mortgage on it. Like he's got a mortgage on this race, mate.
Yeah, he does.
And it's going to take a significant performance to beat him. Like you could say Pride of Jenny beats him, potentially. But she'd need to peak and he'd need to have an off day.
Yeah. It's at this point in time a 2-horse race. So this is the All-Star Mile confirmed runners. Mr. Brightside, Desert Lightning, Buffalo River, Pride of Jenny, Dom to Shoot, Unimec, Cascadian, Ayrton, and Aegon. And Jewess got given a wild card as well. Jewess. She got beaten by 6 lengths on the weekend.
Yeah.
Aegon.
What's he done for the last 2 or 3 years?
He's placing in bloody Group 3 races over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, surely they understand what's happening here.
They know.
Well.
Yeah, they know. They're not ears. They're clutching at straws, mate. They need to completely scrap it and spend the money elsewhere. That's what they need to do. It's $3 million.
Hey, if they offer the second of Portsea a wild card, we'll be taking it.
Oh, we'll be taking it 100%. I was thinking, like, what about like the ultimate benchmark 100 race?
Oh,
like,
I like that.
Like, make it like a $2 million benchmark 100 race. So all these horses, like
Jimmy the Bear,
things
versus
like that.
Young Werder, I could get around that.
And you make it, but that's the thing, you make it like a $2 million benchmark 100 race. So all these like tough 7-year-old geldings who've never won a Group 1 and never will be able to, they have an ultimate prize.
You know, and the system that you have for that would be like, all right, if you've won a Group 1, Group 2, or a Group 3, you're ineligible.
Yeah, you're ineligible. Listed will allow it.
Yeah. But then what you get there is basically Jimmy Star versus another Will. That's what you'd have.
Which is cool.
You'd have almost a match race between those two, but then there's speed bumps thrown in there like Young Werder. It's like, get out my way, Young Werder. Come on.
And then you make it you almost open up the voting only to like racing club members in Victoria or something like that.
Yeah.
So they know the benchmark 100 horses because like people in Queensland who like horse racing, are they necessarily going to know the crop that we're punting on every bloody weekend who just take turns in winning? No. And then, you know, maybe that creates more interest and more spark and you know, it gives these trainers who've got these bloody, you know, C graders an opportunity to win some cash. Great for the connections. Another thing I was thinking about was make it a syndicate only race.
Yep.
So that only horses who've got X amount plus owners can enter.
I like that.
So, you know, Mr. Brightside would still have a mortgage on the race, but you know what I mean? So it's a genuinely a race for the battlers. So there's no Godolphin horses.
Yep.
You know, there's no Yulongs, there's no Inghams, there's Coolmores, there's none of that. Yep. Like Aussie Kia, most of his horses probably wouldn't be in there. You know, make it for the syndicates.
Yeah, it's Triple Crown versus Mr. Brightside, basically.
Yeah.
Revolutionary Miss. I don't mind that concept. I reckon that's good. I really like the benchmark 100 one.
Because it's funny.
That's elite.
Because it's funny.
And you've been giving it back to the owners who have like toiled.
That's what I mean. Like, they probably had 50 starts and won maybe 500 grand.
Well,
excellent.
Remember a few years ago, Team Blue, who will remain nameless, but they put on like the richest maiden in Australia. It was worth like 100 grand. And it's basically the worst horses in Australia going around. And it's like they're all maidens. So it's basically like someone's going to get the cash.
Yeah.
I really liked that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
what about the grey race on Melbourne Cup Day?
Fantastic.
Greys only. Like, that's like the only race. G will watch that race over the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh my God, I love grey horses. So do I, G. But that's the thing. It's a talking point. Something of interest.
All right.
And you can bring in the best benchmark 100 horses from all over the country.
I like it. I like that a lot. Jimmy the Bear versus Young Werder. Oof, he might actually get up for once, Young Werder. All right.
Young Werder's racing this weekend.
Flemington, rail out 4 meters. Hot, 37 to 39 degrees I'm hearing. So I think the races are on at this stage from about midday, but I think they have it within their kind of clause to bring that forward as early as like 9:30 local time, which would be 8:30 our time. Could you imagine? That would be elite.
It'd be ridiculous.
So only 8 races on the card, and there's plenty for us to get through. So let's go to race 4. Actually, no, let's go to the Newmarket. Newmarket handicap 1,200 meters down the Flemington Straight. So, Espiona did have a 3.5 kilo weight swing on Imperatriz, but who cares? Buenos Noches has a 4.5 kilo weight swing on Imperatriz from the champion sprint. He was only beaten half a length.
Yep.
But that was a tough win by her. Now, in the lead up to her trial, some hot weather did knock around Imperatriz, and that was the explanation from Team Tangerine why she was underperforming that day. Are you worried at all about the hot weather with this mare?
Yes, but like I'm worried about the hot weather for all the horses from a welfare perspective. Some of them won't be able to deal with it.
They have protocols, so they'll be in the mounting yard for less amount of time, so they're in the sun for less. And then I think they will have like mist going into them, so they're cooled down when they're in their stalls and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think for me, punting and trying to find a winner, particularly for someone as idiotic and stupid as me, who never learns from any of my mistakes, like it's complicated. It's complicated enough, mate.
That's true.
So I'm not going to overcomplicate it with the weather. Could she bust herself up in the heat? 100%, but so could Buenos Sanchez. Yep. So could, XYZ horse. So I'm just not going to worry about it. And could it bite me in the ass? 100%.
I think she could have drawn better. I reckon the speed map and the way I kind of like mapped the race, I thought all the speed drew into the outside. So I could see the likes of Cylinder leading from barrier 13 with the astrologist to his outside as well. And even Magic Time in that lane as well. There is a fascinating horse in this race as well. Master Fay from New Zealand, who started his career in Hong Kong. So he had one start for one win over in Hong Kong, had 3 years off, came back to New Zealand, and he's won a Group 3 at his latest. But his trainer, Chad Ormsby, said that when he went over to Hong Kong, he was like, not only will this horse win Sprinter of the Year, but he'll win Hong Kong Horse of the Year. He said, I've never ridden a quicker horse than this one. It is an absolute freak.
What the hell?
Yeah. So the way that this guy's talking about this thing, it could do a rocking horse and come over here and just absolutely surprise everyone. And it's only had 3 career starts. It's fascinating. But I thought Screeper maps to get one of the runs of the race here as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what they do because we saw in the Estriella race the Inglis Sprint last weekend that they split. That was a pretty big field.
Yeah,
I think we had like 20 something nominated for this, accepted, and now we're down to 14 and soon to be 13 with Espiona. So will they split, or do you reckon they'll just converge in the middle?
I reckon they'll converge. And the other thing which I did want to note as well, so couple we had southerly breezes. We had one on the weekend as well. We actually have a northerly breeze, so that's coming from grandstand towards the rail. So basically, how I'm really playing that, and it said 20 to 30, which is similar to what it was on the weekend. So I think it has to get up to around 20 to 25 to actually have an impact. And I think the grandstand will protect a lot of that as well. But I think what it will affect is you want cover in the circle races, basically. And I reckon it'll be really hard to lead and win on the circle races. In the straight, could actually be the benefit to actually draw the rail side. But having any cover midfield, mid-pack could be beneficial, let's say.
Yep, I agree with that. Imperatriz has drawn some comparisons this week to a certain mare who was undefeated at the racetrack, Black Caviar. And some of the people are comparing her to Black Caviar. Like I'm sure their heart's in the right place. She's no Black Caviar.
No, she's not.
Not Black Caviar at all.
No.
Black Caviar.
She's Imperatriz.
She's Imperatriz. She's definitely not. 100%. Like she's not a clone.
No.
She's very good.
She's very, very good.
But she's not Black Caviar.
Nah.
Black Caviar lumped 58 kilos in the Newmarket in 2011, beaten by 3 lengths, mate.
No, not only them, like Haylist. Haylist was elite.
Haylist was scratched from that race.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, okay. in that 2011, yeah.
Gotcha.
But she beat up on Haylist all the
Haylist
time.
and Buffering.
And they were both elite.
Buffering won how many Group 1s? He went to
4 or 5 or something.
Went to Dubai, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or somewhere?
Yeah.
And won overseas. Haylist.
He won like 3 or 4 Group 1s.
Yeah.
So these are some of the players who decided to take on Black Caviar in 2011, right? So Crystal Lily, she ran second. She was a 3-year-old filly at 50 kilos. She was a Golden Slipper winner.
Yeah.
So she was fast. She ran second, 50 kegs, got beaten by 3 lengths. Beated at the time, I think was a 3-year-old filly as well, or maybe a 4-year-old mare. I'm not sure. But she won a Doomben 10,000 later on in the year in 2011. So post that race, she ran 3rd in the Newmarket. Response, 2-time Group 1 winner. I think won a Sangster and a Sir Rupert Clark.
Sure.
Right? And those were in 2010. So, like, picture Magic Time, right?
Yep.
Ran fourth, so got beat up by
Yeah.
Black Caviar.
Yeah.
Eagle Falls, another one, Group 1 winner, right? So I'm trying to paint the picture of the quality of the field that Black Caviar put to the sword.
Yeah.
How would you compare that field to this one on the weekend?
What? So Espiona out. We have Bella Nipotina as a Group 1 winner.
Yep.
Magic
Magic
Time, Ruthless Dame. That's it. Skew If.
And then you've got Cylinder, who ran second in a Golden Slipper, right?
Yep.
So would you, context is everything. And we don't know the form, obviously, leading up to the Black Caviar race. We were two young men just finding our way. 18-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Context is everything. Would you say that field was better quality than the one that Imperatriz is against? It's so hard to say.
Yeah.
But what my point is, Black Caviar was an absolute freak.
Yes.
She beat that field by 3 lengths. Carrying the same weight that Imperatriz has got to carry. She doesn't have to beat him by 3 lengths.
No.
She can beat him by a bloody schnoz.
Yes.
And I think she can do it.
Yeah.
I really think she can do it. Like with the Espiona out of the way especially, she was the one I was most scared of.
Yeah.
With her out of the way, I think Imperatriz can do it. You're not getting a great price to find out. She's $2.80 with good people at Ned's. Is that a price I want to bet into though? Probably not. It's probably a race I prefer to watch.
Yep.
Personally, if I was going to steer you into things at bigger odds, I really like Magic Time.
Yeah.
I think she's smart.
She's a very good mare.
$7.50 with Ned's. Like, if you want to bet around Imperatriz, she's probably the first one I'm going to steer you into. And the next one at 20s, she opened up a bigger price than that, Benedetta. She's the other one I'd steer you into because she was really good first up.
She was great.
Gets down the Flemington Straight, 1,200 metres is more up her alley. She draws well as well. So they're the two. But I want Imperatriz to win, mate. Like, that's a heart decision. Head's telling me that is not a bet, though.
Yep.
What would your thoughts be?
Well, I've had Espiona on top. And
so you're just the toys are out of the cot. She was a cracking bet. She was a cracking bet, mate.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at $9.50 on my screen right now. Surely she's gotten out. Yeah. So she opened about $7.50. That was a bet all day long. And the two that I was looking really hard because I really wanted her to get beat from a form perspective.
Yep.
The other one was Buenos Noches, who, all things considered, first up, right? Tearaway leader Malkovich got way too far back.
Way too far back.
Was lame. Shifted a plate as well, maybe. He was lame at least. And he was only beaten 1 length and a half. Like, he's actually run out of his skin.
We know he's a straight track horse.
And he grows a leg down the straight. Thing for me is, with that rock hard deck, I think he is better with some cutout, all things considered. But he did run well down the straight in the Darley, so I don't know. And he gets a massive weight swing. Magic Time was the other one as well. She was on face value a little bit flat first up last prep, but she had a wide run. And then she absolutely grew wings after that. Espiona was the one. Second up, she absolutely brained her tissue. So I'll be betting on her in either Group 1. So wherever she goes. Screeper's the other one. As I mentioned, he goes into my first 4 now. I think he's just drawn perfect. Can be more tactically on pace as well. And in the middle of the track, which could be the best place to be. With Froggy on, he could break his drought here, Froggy. So we'll see. But I think the numbers I had in my first 4, which we do for our previews on YouTube if you want just that content. I had Espiona on top, Imperatriz for second, Magic Time third, Master Faye for fourth. So I have to now promote her up to first, Imperatriz.
Yep, that makes sense. The only other one that I wanted to draw your attention to, because I'm fascinated to get your thoughts, 3-year-old Colt Cylinder. Oh. Is he one that you just have to see him bounce back before he's even at that price of betting proposition?
Yeah, I think so. I think the 1,000 metres was far too short for him as well. I think he's probably, about that 1,200 metre horse, but, he's been down the straight twice now and he hasn't really gotten the chockies. He hasn't raced well at all. So, definitely want to see him. Tongue-tied does go on first time, so maybe he had some breathing issues last start as well, but J. Carr can't do anything wrong at the moment.
She's on fire.
Yeah.
Absolutely on fire.
But 51.5 for a 3-year-old colt. Yeah, probably not.
Would Bella shock?
No, she wouldn't. I have it in my mind, and her form was pretty good on the good, but like it's in my mind that she's absolutely at her best with the cutout as well. Where I look at Imperatriz, who one of the other reasons why I was really keen to take her on is if the stable came out without knowing what the weather forecast was going to be, they wouldn't have said like she doesn't like it really hot. Like, so that was playing in my mind as well. It's like she might not handle the occasion, the day, and all things considered as well, I don't think she really handles the straight either. I think she really likes kicking off a bend, like Mr. Brightside, just railing like a greyhound. But her class is good enough to win this. I don't know. So if I was to have a bet in the race, probably won't. I don't know. I might have a Ned Same Race Multi, Magic Time top 4, and this Master Faye thing top 4.
Juicy.
So, yeah. All right. That's all she wrote.
Cool. Anyway, see you, Drifters.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the let's get to the rest of the Flemington card. We'll cover the Group 1s in Sydney later, but because there's a few races happening in this at Flemington. So race 4 is the size produce. So Group 2 for the 2-year-olds, set weights here. I thought the cream does rise to the top here, personally. You have Stay Focused, who was the first colt home in the Blue Diamond. Barrier 6 Zara on. $2.25 for a horse like that in a field of 16. Is he your starting point?
If you like the Blue Diamond form, yeah. But for me, I'm happy to take him on.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take him on at that price, especially with these 2-year-olds, stepping out over further for the first time. The two I'm tossing up between are number 3, Traffic Warden, and number 4, AARDVARK, Aardvark. Arthur the Aardvark.
Yeah.
He was fantastic last start, Aardvark, but you said it, and I agree with you. Traffic Warden's the one.
Yeah.
He's the one who I reckon will enjoy getting out over further. I think in the Blue Diamond, he sort of floated a little bit towards the end of the race, but hoping that he comes on from that a little bit. And,
his last 50 in that race was sensational.
Once he knuckled down.
Even last 20.
When he knuckled down. So
barrier 17.
Sticky.
I can smell it from here.
Sticky. But yeah, so that's the way I'm seeing it.
Okay. I thought Rue de Royale was just as good as Traffic Warden from an impossible position. And so this colt did run second in the Millennium as well. So behind Fully Lit. I think Flemington, 1,400 metres, barrier 2, Blake Shin on. He's probably my on-top selection, but Aardvark, the alternative form line, as you mentioned, happy with him. But Traffic Warden, I'm losing a lot of confidence from that barrier. So if he comes out and brains him from there, so be it. Race 6 on the program is the CUNY. So Group 2, 1,600 metre 3 for the 3-year-old fillies, set weights. I didn't think there was much speed in this race at all. I thought Gringzinger Bell and Sassy Boom from out wide probably take it up. But on a day where I think it will be hard to lead and win, I kind of wanted to look elsewhere.
Yeah, this is a tough race. What I found interesting was the booking of Mark Zara on Autumn Angel. She draws a super gate. So Billy Egan's the only one who's ever ridden her. There's no speed. So I'm hoping that she sort of, rolls forward from that gate and has a prominent position because she's got the class to get her there. She was a bizarre watch last start when resuming. So hopeful that she improves. The other one, which has got a little bit of Ballarat and Sandown Hillside form, is number 11, Into You. And, who did it beat?
Who knows?
But absolutely brained them its last 2 starts. And it's $20 with good people at Ned's. So, draws gate 1.
Yeah, lovely. And I think I'm with the stablemate, Molly Knickers. Loved the first up run. Barrier 6, big balls, Benny on board. Yeah, I think she can. I think she might be the classier of the two, in my humble. But we'll see. We'll see if that eventuates. I think she's on a binary path, Autumn Angel. So, could still be 1 or 2 runs away. The Shaftesbury Avenue is race 7 on the program. Group 3 handicap. And I can confirm that Jimmy Starr is heading to Newcastle and is firming in the market. Isn't that ridiculous?
It's ridiculous.
So, you're going to get a haircut on any of the prices here. There was a big go for 2 horses in the all-in markets. That was number 1, Berkshire Shadow, and number 3, Amenable, who we mentioned on the review podcast on Sunday as well. But Berkshire Shadow, Group 1 placing in at Royal Ascot and a Group 2 winner overseas as well. So probably the class horse in the race, 59 kilos, has to give the likes of Amenable 4 kilos, who's been jumping out really, really nicely. Where are you landing here?
Yeah, I've got to back Amenable, friend of the podcast. Been gelded, been trialling super well. Read into the trials what you will. I'd prefer to take that over Berkshire Shadow.
Yeah.
For me. $4.50 for Amenable. And as you mentioned, he's 50s for a Doncaster at the moment. So if he brains him here,
yep,
he'll firm up.
So 50s for a Doncaster and 50s for a George Main as well. So that I think that's the next run in the prep for Amenable as well. So happy to land his way. The Matron Stakes is race 8 on the program, 1600 metre Group 3 for the mares, set weights penalties. A lot of these go around and bash up against each other. I'm talking your Eternal Flames and your Foxy Cleopatras and your Running Bys and your Unusual Cultures.
They do. And unfortunately, the victim's got to find them all the time. She was plain last start. Like, she really was, but I've got to dive in again. That's number 6, Foxy Cleopatra. She's a massive nonny from what I've seen thus far. I don't know what they do with this horse to try and just stimulate her a bit. But you're not getting a good price to find out at all. But, yeah, she's the one that I'm going to back, but with zero confidence. Because you're right, like they all just take it in turns. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think there is one that does break that mold. That's number 1, Foxy Frida. She's a winner. 31 career starts, 10 wins, 7 seconds on her resume. Like, what's that? I know, quick maths, 55% of the time she's running in the top 2. She was really, really smart first up. I think she does her. I had to look through her ratings, and I think her ratings when she runs second up are really, really good for this sort of grade. And Flemington as well. She flies at Flemington. Foxy Cleopatra. Foxy Frida, rather. So I think she's the clear on top selection for me. $4.50 with Neds. Good bet. Now, let's head to Randwick. So, as we mentioned, sticky track last week. I think the rail is out 4 metres for the... 3 metres, rather. So we have the Challenge Stakes, we have the Canterbury Stakes, and we have the Randwick Guineas, but let's start with the Canterbury Stakes, the first of the 2 Group 1s. Now you have Espiona staying in Sydney for this race.
Yes.
Versus Think About It.
Think about it, not think it over. Could we have 2 thinks in a row?
Maybe.
Potentially. I'm fascinated to see where he gets to in the run. So you have Malkovich lead him up. Cold Crusher on the quick backup.
Blinkers on.
And then, Lady Laguna goes forward. Think About It's drawing the widest gate. Pericles will kick up. And Think About It's been really, really versatile throughout his career with where he lands. Do you reckon he goes to the tail end of the field from that gate? Or do you reckon he tries and kicks up? Therefore, risking being hung out to dry, 3 wide, no cover.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, you're probably right. I could see the likes of Cold Crusher going forward, Bandersnatch, Malkovich, Lady Laguna showed speed, Pericles as well. Like, I think there's will be run pretty genuinely, I think. Yeah, I reckon they probably. I think Joe Pride. I'm happy to take him on in this race because Joe Pride, to his credit, has been like Doncaster for this horse. Like the grand final's still a month away. So I'm happy to. He'll run really, really well. I am happy to take him on. I'd be way more confident if I was backing him if he drew like Barry 4.
Yeah, 100%.
Barry 8 sucks for him.
Yep.
Big time.
Yeah, it does. And we saw at the end of his prep over 1,300 metres that he's not bulletproof.
It just took the shine off it a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, and like he's won an Everest, which is awesome, obviously. But I wouldn't say that was a vintage Everest.
No.
And secondly to that, yeah, you're 100% right. He's not being trained as a sprinter this prep. He's being trained as a middle distance horse. So I think he's vulnerable first up as well.
I think he's deserved a favourite, but I reckon you'll get $2 on the day.
I think so. I think Espiona's the one as well.
Yeah.
Just because of the price difference, and that first up run was so good.
Yeah.
J-Mac on as well.
Yeah. True.
Which is a big booking. I'd love to see his
7 starts, 3 wins, a second and a third. He lifts him. And plus, I think Chris Waller wants some redemption this week. I would agree with that. I actually think, mate, Joe Pride has a sensational booking of horses at Randwick this weekend.
Mate, there's a race this weekend, which isn't a Group 1, but it's the best race of the weekend.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I've got Espiona on top as well.
Just because I just want to as well. Like, I don't know what it is about Think About It. I respect the horse, but he's just, for whatever reason, isn't one of mine. I don't know why.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Like he's a good friend that I see once or twice a year.
He's an acquaintance.
Yeah.
More than acquaintance.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It just reeks of...
Like, I don't go visit him. He comes visit me.
I know. Yeah, he's definitely one of those. But, like, it just... I don't know what it is. It's given me that feeling, this race.
Yeah.
You know, gut feel.
I'll be having 2 bets in the race. One is Espiona. So she'll probably be going in my combos and that sort of thing. But the other one is Coal Crusher.
On the quick backup.
Quick backup and the blinkers on. Because when the last time he wore his blinkers drifters, he gave King of Sparta absolute windburn. He absolutely brained him.
He is the clear value bet in this race. You know, he's a better price than Lady Laguna, and I know who I'd be taking weight for age over 1,300 metres.
100%. All right, the Randwick Guineas. So, Chris Waller's best bet of the weekend, according to the stable, is Militarised, number 1. Barrier 4, J-Mac on. Only ridden him the once because the Magic Man has usually got the magic touch on him. That was back when he was racing at Canterbury, I believe. Kitty Cat Tom, Nash on, Barrier 8. Celestial Legend, Barrier 11. So, I thought there was not much speed in this contest. Le Vampire will be the one who probably kicks up here with the stablemate Gambare. And then I'd say like the likes of Fukubana and NCAP probably get that next line.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah. What do you reckon we're actually going to get for a track? Do you reckon it's going to be concrete?
I honestly think it will go the other way. I reckon they'll overreact.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I hope it's a good 4, but, you know, one can only hope. I think I was saying a few weeks ago, wet deck, militarise, grow a leg, which I still think holds true. I think you can say the same about Celestial Legend based on that last start performance.
Yeah, 100%.
So they're the 2 for me, clearly, and the market would suggest so. Geez, Barrier 11 for Celestial Legend is just horrific, isn't it?
Goes one place, he goes dead last.
He has to.
Especially like Kieran's been on fire this year, but when as soon as he gets a wide draw, he goes back.
He drew gate 10 last time.
Yeah.
and he was actually able to get himself into a really good position, Celestial Legend. And credit to K-Mac, it was a really good ride. Peeled him out at the right time and kicked away. So if he manages to go further forward from this gate and find a spot, he'll be incredibly hard to beat. But then he's got Militarise on his inside. He's drawn perfectly in gate 4. That's perfect for him.
Yep.
Absolutely perfect because he's going to sit midfield, whereas usually he'd go back. That first up run on the Apollo, second to Fangirl, I think he did enough.
That's where I came back to. Are any of these first up running 2.5 lengths to Fangirl first up?
No.
I don't think so.
No. So you just got to default to Militarise.
Yeah.
And this has been the grand final all along. They don't want to tick this box so badly for him.
Yeah. And I think the thing is like if Militarise, if he drew out and then the likes of Celestial Legend drew in and even Kitty Cat Tom like drew had opposite draws, then you go like, okay, we have a bit more to think about from a race shape. But Militarise gets the gun run here, I think.
Yeah, he does. So he's more on toppy. If Celestial Legend drew better, I probably would be leaning towards it. I was taken by that run last start. He put him to the sword, and he's only going to be better over 1,600 metres. But Militarise on top, just for the map of the race, right? J-Mac on. He's a proven performer. Gone against the big ones first up.
Yep.
Could just be a Chris Waller demolition job.
Yeah. I've thought long and hard about Tom Kitten here. I really have. And he has been pretty average at best this prep, but I honestly think he needs good ground, and you'll see the best out of him. And he only really starts getting warm as these 3-year-olds have matured a little bit over a mile, I'd say. But I had a look at his ratings over, last prep, and he was just elite from the 1,800 to 2,000 metres. And he's still clearly my on-top selection in the Rosehill Guineas, although Riff Rocket is heading to that race confirmed.
Yep.
So I think Militarise, I really wanted to put Tom on top, but I've learnt the way of Militarise because barrier 8, they're going to have to ride him cold again. I think Militarise will be in front of him. I don't think Tom Kitten will run past him. So
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, so that's what I had in mind. I think I'll have Militarise on top, Tom Kitten running second. I think Lev Vampir's been good, and he's third up here as well, so he's probably the fittest of the Waterhouse Bod horses.
I gave him a good look purely because of never being able to learn my lesson. Like Tropical Squall last week. He leads, and there doesn't look to be a stack of other pace in the race. But then I watched that replay of the Hobart's field, and I probably want him to stick on better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but, he wouldn't shock at all, and you're getting a good price to find out.
Yep. And then, Celestial Legends in the numbers as well. I think the market's got it pretty much right. The only one that I didn't have mentioned that the market has is NCAP, and he will never see any of mine ever again.
Nope.
All right, let's have a look at the rest of the card at Randwick. There's plenty to look through. So if we go to race 2, the Riesling Stakes for the 2-year-old fillies, set weights, 1,200 metres. Too Darn Lizzie comes back from her demolition job at the Gold Coast on debut. I wasn't as taken by her trials. I think they gave her a little bit of an education job last trial where she sat behind runners and was ridden out and she didn't really accelerate. So I reckon she will be a leader in the race, as Waterhouse Bot typically do. But I'm keen to take her on at the $2.70 here.
Yeah, where are you leaning towards? You're leaning towards Castagna or Extreme Diva?
Neither. I'm going for a little bit of value. I'm going reasonable point for Ben at Brisbane. So this filly came from the clouds to finish second to Aardvark.
Aardvark.
And that was only over the 1,100 metres. Barrier 6, solid draw for this filly. Melbourne Way, no idea. Sydney Way, no idea. But 1,200 metres helps. Happy to spec her because that was a super run. Really, really good. So Extreme Diva adds interest. Barrier 1, don't know, probably going to get into a similar spot as last week.
Yeah, I think so. I'm with Castagna. I think I'd rather take the $4.80 with the good people at Neds About Her, with the form around Switzerland and also beating up on Embassy, third up here, drawing a gate, than the $2.70 with Two Don Lizzie, who was very good down the Gold Coast, but, bit of a freshen up, come here. I'm thinking this is just going to be a bit of a fitness run to get her into the slipper. Little filly Two Don Lizzie. But, Castagna's the on toppy for me.
Yeah. Well played by you. Race 3 is the Randwick City Stakes, listed grade 2,000 metre handicap. So Military Mission was, I don't know, he was a top 10 friend of ours for the Melbourne Cup. I think he ran about 10th of that race.
Yep.
And then he came out at was it Sandown or whatever race that was the next start. He absolutely brained him. He's a good horse, Military Mission. 2,000 metres first up. How many trials is that? 4 trials. I haven't been impressed by any of them. I'm happy to let him go around without me. I think he's clearly one of the best horses in the race. But then you have the likes of Bois d'Argent, who ran 4th in the Caulfield Cup behind one of the, I think it was the second fastest run in Caulfield Cup of all time.
Something like that, yeah.
Behind Without a Fight. He's been mentioned a couple of times on this podcast. Beaten 4 lengths still.
I think, you know what, we probably talk about our winners too much on this podcast, mate. So put a plug in it.
Canberra Legend was super first up.
He was great first up.
He was great. Now, I'm predicting that it is going to be a pretty hard track on the weekend. He has 5 starts on good ground for nothing. So I'm steering clear of him after that flashing light first up run. So I'm interested to hear where you're leaning.
What about Serpentine?
Yes!
I reckon Serpentine. Just because, the one I was scared of was Canberra Legend, and I looked at his form over good tracks, and I was like, happy to take him on.
Yeah.
He was very good first up, and wouldn't surprise. But Serpentine's $8, and you know where he's going to be. And he usually runs a bomb fresh.
Yeah.
First up for one win and a second of 8 starts doesn't really read that well.
But you're forgetting, mate. He had a few of those at overseas. I think he was first up in a 2,500 metre race one day. So, you can forgive him for that. I think what they've learnt now is he's a middle distance horse. He's not a stayer.
No.
So 2,000 metres.
First up. You know where he's going to be.
You know what the grand final for this horse would be? Q22.
Yeah.
In Queensland at Eagle Farm, where he's been proven to run well at that track.
Timmy Clark on $8. Happy to dive in.
I agree. Barrier 4, mate, he'll get it all his way up front. Serpentine's a cracking bet in that race.
Yep.
Now, the Fireball Stakes, 1,100 metres class, listed class for the 3-year-olds, set weights, penalties. Red Resistance. Oof. Don't know about him. $2.40. That is awfully short for mine. 3 trials. 2 trials rather. This prep. So they tipped him out in the spring because he wasn't quite right. I'm happy to take him on as well. I thought it was. I did not see what I needed to see out of those trials.
This can't be a betting race for me.
I have a nice bet in this.
You have a nice bet. I just Red Resistance. I want to see him run well, but I'm keeping my powder dry at that price. He hasn't raced for a year.
Yeah.
So what's your nice bet? Because I'm happy to be let in.
Well, one that's had one run in a year, and that's Corniche for Godolphin. This will be Aussie Tom's first win in Australia. This prep, I reckon. These trials have been super, really, really smart. Keeping their powder dry as Godolphin typically do, but this horse did beat Shinzo leading up to the slipper.
He did.
I think I can't see him starting $6.50 on the day. No way. I reckon he'll be the one that they come for sure. Because I look at these others gross.
Yeah,
for Seals, your Blanc de Blanc started at bloody $2 last start, and then she finished last. Like, yeah, you can have all those. I think Corniche he's a smart colt.
Okay, yeah. But like gross race. So, the fact that you have an opinion is good, mate.
The Todman, this is a cracker. Group 2 for the 2-year-olds over the 1,200 metres for the Colts and Geldings. Shangri-La Express, Odie's Son, Straight Charge, Bodyguard, Espionage, Switzerland, all inclusive rather. Get a Fix, Full Metal Jacket, and Verlander, who's been trialling very nicely. Not the worst $61 shot I've seen. This is a nice race. I'm very keen on Switzerland in this race. Yeah?
Yeah. Straight Charge is a good colt. So is Shangri-La Express. So is Espionage. But I'm really happy that Shangri-La Express and Straight Charge are going to be versing each other because I think it's going to set up the race to have some speed. They're going to go forward and they're going to run themselves ragged. And guess where Switzerland's going to be?
Yeah.
J-Mac on. Just behind him. He was ridden absolutely upside down last start and he's still got the chockies. He's a smart colt. Plus, I'm a sucker for those silks, mate. I'll just dive in. Plus, I like the price about him. Happy to be with him. But also can see Straight Charge leading the entire way with Shangri-La Express and then just putting on the afterburners and winning. So,
yep.
But happy to bet into Switzerland.
Yulong have it's self-proclaimed that this is the best horse that they own. So Straight Charge.
We trusting Yulong on this podcast now.
Well, I think they have seen the failed experiments as well. So, yes, I acknowledge Straight Charge, sure. Mate, there is absolutely no universe that I'm not betting on Bodyguard here.
You have to.
You
have to.
Barrier 9 does not help.
No.
He's going to be near last, but he's such a smart colt.
This is like a mini slipper for me.
And, well, basically, whoever wins this is going to be second favourite.
Yep.
So, Bodyguard, I think last time I checked, I haven't checked recently, but I reckon he was around that $17 mark in the slipper. So, I could, again, similar to my Nathan Doyle rhetoric last week, but I could see the Snowdens getting interviewed after this. It's like, yeah, he would have won really well in the Blue Diamond after winning this race. And just shaking their heads going like, fuck me.
Yeah, Victorian vets.
Now, a couple of ones outside of this, right? Which I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll be very nice horses in due time, is the John O'Shea train to Get a Fix for Jason Collard on board. Mate, you will see this horse in the mounting yard. You're like, oh, he's a beautiful, beautiful colt. He's a grey bay. So he's like...
Celestial type.
Yeah, yep. He's a lovely thing. Apparently he's an absolute nutcase. And he was a really smart win at Kensington. Basically only... shifted the heels at about the 200, so lost his momentum and then bang, went and won by about a length. So he was a really smart win.
Some Queensland form.
Yeah. Yes.
Number 7, all inclusive.
Yeah. David Van Dyke.
Yes, David Van Dyke. He said this boy is spitting image of alligator blood. By the same sire, All Too Hard. And obviously David Van Dyke was the first trainer of alligator blood back in the day. He's got a very high opinion of this horse. He said, look, if he gets to this race, great. No matter what he does here, we'll probably tip him out because he's going to be a better 3-year-old. So, for the Queenslanders, mate, I want to see all inclusive run well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Verlander's the other one. Very nice trial. But yeah, probably a bit of a stretch to see that horse winning on debut against this opposition. But, mate, honestly, if this was a quaddie leg, this would be a big F for me. Big field one. Because I could honestly see any of them winning. All right, the Highland Race Colours Challenge Stakes.
Best race of the weekend by far.
1,000 metres. Dash for cash. Group 2. Wait for age. Cracking race.
This is a field job.
Yeah.
This is a field job. But you've got to have an opinion in this game. All the talk about Marzu has been super positive from Joe Pride. And that's great. Would love to see him back to his best. We're talking doom and 10,000 days. But I think there needs to be some torrential rain still for Marzu.
Yeah.
So happy to take Marzu on. But I'd love to see him run well. And obviously Joe Pride's got a cracking record with tried horses. Private Eye, we saw what he did first up in the Lightning.
Super.
So he can win this. Remark is too short. I can only back Remark when he's a bigger price.
Yeah, mate. 4-6. No, because you got the price, and then he had one of the great plunges that day.
He's out of a big plunge.
Yeah, and you're like, look at the money for Remark. I'm like, you are kidding me. And he's racing in the Ladbrokes colours as well.
He is.
Mate, Af Cabin has to be the bet here.
Has to be the bet.
He's trained as a sprinter now. They've learnt their lesson from the Randwick Guineas last year.
Definitely my bet here, Af Cabin. Look, he's a horse who can give you an absolutely jaw-dropping performance, or he can give you something where you're just like, he was stinky, but I have to bet into him here, Af Cabin, because, I think he's going to show the world that he's a genuine sprinting horse, Af Cabin. So he's my on-top selection. Passive-aggressive can run well as well.
Her jump outs and trials have not been nothing of note for me. There was one jump out that she was in that I was really, really disgusted by. Pardon me. Af Cabin, on top. His trials. He's been the trialer of the autumn so far. And what does that get you? I don't know. Probably not much, but he did knock off Tropical Squall in his latest one.
Tropical Squall.
So, I've been waiting for this horse to be trained as a sprinter, and I was extremely critical of him at the mile. The other thing that I am a little bit nervous about is Good Ground. From memory, he did show his absolute best with his toe out. So if it is a rock hard deck on the weekend, I'll still have a little play to figure it out.
And I just want to make a quick note of Private Eye being in this race. So I find that fascinating. Like, I would have, if I was Joe Pride, he probably would have been 58 kilos as well in the Newmarket. And I also find it fascinating because Joe Pride was harping on about Imperatrice never versing the best up in Sydney.
Yeah, I know.
So is he purposely avoiding her? Because that's pretty hypocritical.
Joe's like that, I think the way he said it was like, I like him to travel and have a run interstate, but he's going to be racing at Randwick in his grand final, which is the TJ. Which I can understand that, but also if you want to take on the best, mate, if it's not suitable for one horse, what about the other one?
Exactly.
He probably goes like, well, I've already done it once, so I don't want to lower his colours again. But like at 1,000 meters, I don't think that's a good setup for him.
Not saying at 1,000 meters.
No,
I'm not betting into $2.15.
No way.
Could he win? Yeah, 100% he could.
Yeah,
not with my money.
Mate, he's a miler.
Yeah,
Private Eye. Anyway, now the Moiston Cooper, Aspiration Quality, the Group 3 for the 3-year-old fillies and the mares. Handicap conditions. This is nearly my best bet of the day, and it is a huge price.
Okay, but
I'm keen to hear what your thoughts are.
Oh, this was a tricky race. I was sort of looking before prices came out. I was sort of looking at number 12. How good are you?
Yep.
So she was great last prep. Strung together a bit of a picket fence, or nearly. Let's call them cricket wickets with a couple of seconds in there as well. It's been pretty disappointing this prep though, but I think it might be the soft decks. She's had 2 goes on soft decks for absolutely nothing. So I think the key to her is a good deck, and it doesn't look to be a stack of leaders in this race. So we know how good are you is going to lead. Hoping she bounces back, and she's $10 at the moment, but I don't have a firm opinion in this race, mate.
Yeah. I'm honestly considering having City of Lights number 18 for Joe Pride as my best bet of the weekend.
I was looking at her as well.
Like $15. That is a stupid price. I cannot see a universe where she starts that price on the weekend. Chad on. This daughter of deep impact. But her win at Canterbury was jaw-dropping. She was absolutely sensational.
Yes, the half-sisters of Winks, City of Lights.
Oh, there you go.
Did you not know that?
Oh, Vegas Showgirl. There you go. So, yeah, she's very, very smart. And, barrier 15, they'll probably be the reason why she won't be my best bet of the weekend. But at $15, I'm gonna find out. That's for damn sure.
Worth a spec.
Yeah. Because you have the likes of like Lecavate and Osmos, who, with all due respect, you can have them.
Yeah.
As like the favourite runners.
You can have it. And this is a race where you're trying to find a roughie.
Absolutely. The Winona Girl quality, 1,200 metres, Group 3 for the mares. This is the way we end it at Randwick. It's a bit tough, isn't it?
This is tricky, mate.
Very tough.
Very tricky.
Who's the favourite here? Cool Die. The newly trained for Joe Pride. So Joe Pride has City of Lights, and he also now has Cool Die.
Yes.
I reckon his whole stable's running this weekend, Joe.
Yeah, just about. Bloody hell, Joe. He's got Rainbill as well. I don't know if he's always had Rainbill.
So this is the second prep.
Okay. Look, I know that we talk shit about a CS Magique, but that was a good run first up.
It was good.
It was good. And she's a bit of a nonny, but I don't know. I feel like she's the one that I want to bet on in this race.
Yep.
It's just a gut feel. I'm sorry, Drifters. I don't really have anything more to say other than I feel like she's due and this is the one.
Yep. Yeah. She was. What would Samana be in this race? What would Alentia be in this race?
Yep.
So I think $5.50 is about the right price to find out.
Yep.
Cool Die for Joe Pride. They were in the Canterbury and they scratched from that to race here. So good indication. Few trials in. She's been looking the Adam Goods, but she was trained to be like a middle distance filly, but I think they've kind of like learned that she's got a bit more, spring in her step. But in saying that, she's never been one of mine, Cool Die. So I want to kind of see her do it. But I am going to have a bet on the stablemate here, Rainbill, at $7.50. She was good against the boys last start, only missing by less than a length against the Bred Car and Omni Man. She is a long time between drinks, though. 124 weeks is a long time.
Very long time, Rainbill. From memory, she's a big mare.
Yeah.
From memory.
Used to wear the Melbourne Storm silks.
She did. So it just takes a little while to sort of wind up. Bit of weight relief. I couldn't begrudge her.
Like, she went from a benchmark 94 to another benchmark 94, but she's drawn sticky both of those. Barrier 9 and Barrier 12. She draws Barrier 6 here. Tyler Sticks. I like that. I like that setup. Third up, she could be, I think she's a nice bet here, Rainbill, because there's a lot of slow ones here.
Yes. So, like, if you land the last two legs of this Sydney Quaddie, Drifters, you're doing incredibly well. It's tough.
It is tough.
Tough.
But there is plenty of opportunity to find some value. All right, so Challenge Stakes is your highlight for the weekend.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like a mini Everest, I'd say. And it'll be a very important race heading towards the TJ. Obviously, we know Imperatrice is going to be there, but who is going to fill the minor placings?
I wish I win, heading first up to a TJ.
Yeah, fascinating. Moods is weird training him. Like, he obviously knows. Like, obviously, we don't.
Yeah. Well,
but he doesn't follow the typical path with I wish I win at all.
No interest like self-interest, because he's in the ownership as well. But I think I heard a very good point from someone. I think it might have been Sharky earlier this week on RSN. It was either him or someone else. Literally the only two options. And I think he was saying like, Moo's just kind of, he thinks like a horse, and he just understands him. And it's like, I think he's got in his mind that he has that bloody hock that sticks out at bloody right angles. And he's like, I'm not gonna kind of like really push the issue here. This horse doesn't have many runs in him because he's not right. And it's like, you want to basically get the most out of him when you get him to the track, but he only has apparently 2 to 3 runs in him a prep.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. And yeah, no interest like self-interest. Well, if I owned a horse, what's the race I'd want him to run in every year? The Everest.
Yeah, true.
So Moods is just thinking about the Everest, really.
I'm thinking about I reckon I almost know run for run his campaigns. I Wish I Win. So he had that first up run at either Caulfield or Flemington where he was back from $10 to about 2s. He brained him by about 4. His next start was at Sandown where he just pipped, I reckon, Ayrton. And then he went down in was it the 2-rack?
Yep.
So, and then he had that gap to the Golden Eagle.
Yep.
So I reckon that's where they've learnt the most about him. It's like, you know what? His best 2 runs at the prep was first up and then the Golden Eagle, gap between runs. That's how they train him now.
Yeah, he's probably a horse where you sort of keep him in work, but not sort of too severe work.
Yeah.
And you just sort of build him up. But what it means is if he's first up into the TJ Smith, he's going to come to the Sunshine State, mate. So we could have I Wish I Win.
Giga Kick's back in work.
Giga Kick could come up to Brisbane. Amelia's Jewel is coming across to Brisbane as well. It's where it's at. It's a form carnival. That's where all form is created. And not all form is created equal. But it is at Eagle Farm.
So
Dubin.
we've had what? Last couple of years, we've had an Everest winner. We've had
Melbourne Cup winner.
We've had third place in a Cox Plate, Alligator Blood, Stradbroke winner.
Yeah, we've
You won Underwood.
we've had Incentivise come out of Queensland.
Gypsy Goddess.
Gypsy
who's now
Goddess.
A brood mare in
Yep.
Japan.
She ran third in the Golden Eagle.
The Japanese only buy the good ones,
They do.
as a rule.
They do. Yeah, so it's the place to be. Queensland.
We'll drop down in grade and go to Queensland. Hey, hold your horses.
Good luck beating Giga Kick. Doing 10,000. Overpass didn't, but he won a Group 1 over in Perth. Easily. Big class difference there.
All right. We'll be back on Sunday to review it all. Bit of a moving day, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
big,
reckon.
big moving day. I think, the Challenge Stakes is the highlight for me. Fascinated by the 2-year-old race, just to see who's going to be filling out the placings for the slipper. And the Randwick Guineas, militarises the bet, but I've just got a weird feeling that there could be an upset there, whether it's Celestial Legend or someone else.
Agreed.
And that therefore determines, what's going to happen in the Rosehill Guineas and by extension, but to a lesser extent though, the Queen Elizabeth. Fascinating.
I think you take 2 quaddies in both states.
You go real short.
One with Imperatriz one out, one with Militarized one out, and Think About It one out.
100%.
And probably Espiona. And then you could almost have the field in that race because, there could be upsets everywhere.
There could be.
Anyway,
So fascinated.
We'll find out.